This is Westgate Road, historically one of the city of Newcastle's principal thoroughfares. And right here, wedged in the triangle between Westgate and Fenkell Street, is an office block called Cross House. Built in 1912 and distinctive in the city due to its chic Portland stone cladding, this has claimed to be Newcastle's modest equivalent of the Flatiron Building. You'll also notice that at 6 stories, it's taller than all of the surrounding buildings. This fact will come in important later. But the reason I'm particularly interested in Cross House is that this building is the reason I'm a Geordie in the first place. In the 90s, it housed a certain law firm, and my parents moved to Newcastle to work here. I was born a few years later, lucky enough to call the city my hometown. However, 3/4 of a century earlier, this building was the site of one of Newcastle's worst disasters. A tale of tragedy, but also of incredible courage. December 23rd, 1919. The streets of Granger Town are filled with Christmas shoppers preparing for the festive period. They are happily going about their business. But before long, more and more of them start to notice the smell of acrid smoke filling the air. At this time, the basement of Cross House is occupied by an office belonging to the film production and distribution company Famous Players Lasky. Crucially, the offices house a storage vault for reels of film. Celluloid film is, of course, known for being extremely flammable. On this day, though the exact cause is unknown, a fire begins in the Famous Lasky offices. Fueled by the shelves of celluloid, the flames spread rapidly, and the fire begins to burn uncontrollably, climbing the interior of the building and engulfing the single shaft containing the lift and stairwell. Eyewitnesses arrive onto Westgate Road to see the office building completely ablaze, and a crowd gathers helplessly in the street outside. Finding that the stairs, the only means of escape, are blocked by fire and choking smoke, a group of office workers have instead assembled on the small balcony on the top floor. Many others are shouting for help from windows as the flames advance behind them. As the Fire Brigade arrives at the scene, there are screams as, in acts of desperation, some workers jump from high windows and unfortunately do not survive the fall. Some onlookers urge the trapped to jump, others shout to stay put. The Fire Brigade quickly raise an escape ladder to evacuate the workers, but to everyone's horror, it isn't long enough to reach the top floor of the building. Thinking quickly under pressure, the firemen enlist police officers and bystanders to stretch cloth sheets out between them, ready to catch the workers instead. There is a painfully long moment as those atop the building gather the courage to leap, before suddenly a man bites the bullet and plummets down to the street, straight into the waiting sheet. Cheers and whistles erupt from the crowd. They continue to cheer as more and more workers bravely jump, sometimes almost 30 meters, to safety. But the heroics aren't over yet. As more and more workers jump from windows, a man and a woman on the 6th-story parapet cross over to the other side of the building, perhaps out of sheer terror and searching for some other means of escape. The journal reports that a fireman by the name of Brown now takes it upon himself to rescue them, and begins to climb the main escape ladder while carrying a special smaller ladder which is hooked at the top. Showing incredible courage, Brown then climbs into the burning building through a window and exits onto the parapet, surrounded by flames. The crowd watches with bated breath as he finds the man and woman and hooks the ladder onto the edge of the building. It starts to swing wildly before the bottom can be held by another fireman atop the escape ladder a few meters below. After reassuring the survivors that it's safe, Brown guides them down the ladder, one after the other, where they're able to move onto the escape and finally down to safety. The story of the Cross House fire is an incredible tale of resilience in the face of a terrible situation. Thanks to the actions of rescuers, and despite the Fire Brigade's ladder being too short, a large number of people were able to survive the disaster. However, the fire still claimed the lives of 12 people, some of whom succumbed to the smoke and flames, and some of whom did not survive the fall to the ground. Today, there is no public memorial to the fire, and it is not widely known, but we can be certain that many lessons were learned by emergency responders of the day in the wake of these events. And Cross House itself stands as a quiet reminder that once upon a time, 6 stories was considered tall, but more importantly, that the people of a city can come together during a crisis and achieve truly remarkable feats.